What an unbelievable game of football that was. Two well-balanced teams trying to match each other with the highest level of intensity on and off the ball. PSG's individual quality they had over Arsenal definitely showed in the game, but Arsenal's structure and off-the-ball structure especially brought them back into the game even though they conceded early on. In the end though, it was a 1-0 victory for PSG, winning away from home at Emirates and then taking the second leg to Parc des Princes, where they will definitely have the advantage. So it's definitely in PSG's favour right now, but you never know what's going to happen in the Champions League. In this video, we're breaking down the Arsenal vs PSG game, looking at Ousmane Dembele's false 9 role, Kvaratskelia's 1v1 ability out wide, Fabian Ruiz's balancing act in the midfield, as well as the reasons why Odegaard has been missing recently for Arsenal, and the main reason why Arsenal lost that game, which you might not have noticed, as well as any key moments that you might have missed in the game. But before we get into it, don't forget to like the video, comment your thoughts on the Arsenal vs PSG game down below, and subscribe for more. First up, we need to talk about Ousmane Dembele at PSG this season. The way we are seeing him play right now is exactly what we expected from him many years ago. He is finally reaching that potential that he showed when he was a youngster. There's been hype around Ousmane Dembele since he was 18, 19 years old, banging ball for Rennes in Ligue 1. But now, this is where he's showing his consistency, where he's showing why he's one of the best players in the world. And Luis Enrique giving him this freedom in that number 9 role, that false 9 role, is exactly what he needed. He's been given the keys to this PSG team and he is thriving. Right now, for me, Ousmane Dembele is easily top 5 players in the world, and there's no debate around it. I think he's got about 45 goals and assists for PSG this season, which is a ridiculous rate when you think about just how much he offers out of goal scoring and assisting. His dribbling ability, the way he breaks the lines, the way he's able to just open up space for his teammates, and that's exactly what he did for that first goal. When you see the rotations that PSG love to do, it comes to William Pacho, he goes to Nuno Mendes, and as you can see, the midfield is moving to bring Arsenal's midfield towards that defense. Nuno Mendes breaks the lines with an absolutely brilliant pass into Ousmane Dembele, who's now come deeper. And if Arsenal was smart, one of the centre backs should have followed him, but because they didn't, he now had space to run into. He was in off the post, the goalkeeper had no chance, and it gives PSG a much needed lead in that game, because once they have the lead, they can focus on counter-attacking football. They can focus on trying to control the game. They don't need to force a goal. They need Arsenal to come out, which definitely favours the PSG team, which is excellent on transitions due to the fact that they have this Ousmane Dembele up front. There were times where he was moving that ball forward on his own, holding it up for PSG, so the midfielders, so the wingers could come and help him as well. And that moves me on to the next winger that I want to talk about, and that is Kvaratskhelia down that left hand side. In the first half, I have never seen Jurrien Timber get bullied as much as I saw him get bullied in that first half. This is a defender who I believe is definitely one of the best lockdown defenders in the game right now, especially as a fullback. But Kvaratskhelia was having a field day. Anytime the ball come to him, Jurrien Timber didn't know whether to stick or twist. And anytime he did stick, he was kicking Kvaratskhelia and giving PSG a foul. And when that happens, it allows PSG to continue to sustain pressure. As long as Timber is not winning that ball, PSG are keeping the ball and putting the pressure on Arsenal. And I believe Jurrien Timber should have definitely been yellow carded in that first half. The fact that he escaped from a yellow card throughout that game is absolutely shocking. And then when you think about it, there was a moment where Kvaratskhelia had 3 players on him. He was still able to cut inside and Timber took him out, and in my opinion it was a penalty. I'll let you guys debate down below if you think it was a penalty or not, but for me, I thought it was a penalty because Timber has now gone to the side, brought his arm out and brought Kvaratskhelia down when he was about to get an opportunity to shoot. Just overall, his performance in that game, anytime PSG needed to come out of pressure, he would be able to dribble that ball forward, and then he had the IQ of knowing when to pass it back and when to move it forward, knowing when to slow the game down so that PSG could get control in the game. And again, his 1v1 ability, in my opinion, for a left winger is definitely the best in the world right now. And in terms of Champions League level quality, this is exactly the playing field you want to see players like Kvaratskhelia. I can now understand why why he left Napoli for PSG. Now look at how people are talking about his name. For me, he's one of the best wingers on the planet. Let me move on to who I believe is the glue of this PSG team, and he is incredibly underrated. I saw people talk about Vitinha, and he definitely deserves his praise because what he is producing right now in Europe, he is top 5 midfielders easily in Europe right now. The way he controls the game, the way he comes deep for his centre backs, but he wasn't the main guy for me. And it wasn't even Joao Neves, who I believe has been an incredible signing. His off the ball work rate is unbelievable. He's like a Kante for PSG. He wins that ball back, he moves it forward, he keeps the play moving forward. He has incredible box presence. That tackle that he got against Marino inside the box was crucial to PSG staying 1-0 up. But the glue in that midfield for me is Fabian Ruiz, and it's not talked about enough. The way he was dogging Rice, Marino, Odegaard in that midfield. The way he was onto them every single time they tried going past him and winning the ball back. Then having that quality and composure to find the right passes to facilitate that PSG play, which is exactly what they needed. There were so many times where PSG were under pressure. The ball came to Fabian Ruiz and he would make the touch to Kvaratskhelia. He would make the touch to Nuno Mendes. Just so PSG were able to get that ball moving forward comfortably, and that provided so much balance to this team. And I feel like that's exactly the type of profile Arsenal were actually missing. And they had it once upon a time with Granit Xhaka in the midfield. And Mikel Merino, unfortunately, was not able to do that same job. But what Fabian Ruiz was doing, which I felt was so good, was his movement and the way he was opening up spaces for his other teammates, as well as his aerial ability of winning duels in the air, winning duels on the floor. Just overall, I felt like his performance wasn't talked about enough on how crucial he was for PSG's victory. If there was a player on the pitch who could actually show what Fabian Ruiz was doing for PSG, but for Arsenal, then it was definitely Miles Lewis Skelly. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He had Desiree Doué on his side, and he definitely clamped him throughout the game. Don't get me wrong, Doué had his moments in and out of the game, and he maybe would have scored if Raya didn't make a brilliant save. But for the majority of the game on Lewis Skelly's side, he had him in the bag, and anyone that was making runs in behind, he was in the right places. But it's what he provides on the ball that is incredible for Arsenal. You saw just at the end of the half when the ball came to him in that midfield position, he just glided past the PSG midfield and then played an accurate but brilliant pass into Martinelli, who should have finished off his chance if it wasn't for Donnarumma's heroics. And just overall, every single time Lewis Skelly had it, he was either winning a foul, he was keeping the ball for Arsenal, and just in general, the way he retains possession of the ball for Arsenal, he has the potential to be world class at that. Whether that's at left back or whether that's at midfield, that's a different story. I felt like Arsenal should have used him in the midfield today because they needed Declan Rice to move into that 8. They needed someone else to play in that number 6 position, which I'm going to touch on later. But if Lewis Skelly was in the midfield, they would have had the composure to drive with that ball, and then Marino could have played as the 9, and he would have provided a much better outlet as the 9 than what Trossard did. Talking about Arsenal's attackers, Trossard, Martinelli, Odegaard, it wasn't good enough. Martinelli, don't get me wrong, he worked hard off the ball, but on the ball, he was the one who had the crucial chances for Arsenal. He was the one who needed to open his body up and smash the ball into the top corner, but he was not able to do it. He doesn't have that 1v1 quality. He doesn't have that X factor that Arsenal currently need, and it was only Bukayo Saka who was showing that X factor, especially in the first half. But he had 3 or 4 men on him, and he was still able to create chances for Arsenal. He was still able to get a couple of shots off, but it wasn't in moments where he could actually do something because there's 2 or 3 men pressurizing him. No one was helping him in that team. Martin Odegaard especially, Arsenal fans are starting to criticize him. They're starting to get frustrated by him. He is not showing what he should be on the ball. Maybe that's because he has a similar problem to what Szoboszlai has at Liverpool, where his off-the-ball work is so important to this Arsenal team in terms of their out-of-possession structure. He is a key reason as to why Arsenal's out-of-possession structure is so good. That when the ball comes to him, he doesn't have that same level of energy to be able to break the lines, to be able to create the key chances. You need to remember, you need energy to be playing these passes. You can't be tired when the ball comes to you. And every single time Odegaard's getting it, he's probably tired because he is the one pressing, especially when your number 9 in Leandro Trossard isn't doing the job that he needs to do in terms of pressing. Obviously, I'm not making excuses for him because we expect so much more from Odegaard, especially if you're going to be the main number 10 in this Arsenal team. You need to be getting the pressure off Bukayo Saka, and he was not doing that. And when we're talking about Leandro Trossard, in my opinion, he should not have been on the pitch. Merino should have been the number 9. It's what worked against Real Madrid, and it was what would have worked against PSG. You saw that corner that came in, or the free kick, sorry, that came in from Declan Rice, and Merino finished it off. That's box presence. That's what Arsenal needed. They needed an outlet up front. Leandro Trossard wasn't doing it, whether he was coming deep, whether he was going in behind. Any single time that PSG were getting onto him, he was not able to do anything for Arsenal in terms of getting that ball forward, in terms of causing dangerous situations for the Arsenal team. And that's exactly why I think Thomas Partey's yellow card against Real Madrid was the main reason for Arsenal's loss today. And that sounds so stupid because it's a different game. But Thomas Partey getting that yellow card and missing this game meant so much went wrong for Arsenal's structure that went right against Real Madrid. Declan Rice moving into the number 6 was major jeopardy for Arsenal. He needed to be in the number 8. He needed to be the front foot presser that he is usually for Arsenal. And any single time that he was able to do that for Arsenal, PSG's players were shook. He was winning the ball back and getting Arsenal on the attack. But he couldn't do it enough because he needed to be disciplined in that number 6 role. And he also doesn't have the passing range to break the lines often and consistent enough with good passes. He has to drive with the ball, and he did do that on a couple of occasions where he got Trossard in straight through and goal, but Donnarumma made another incredible save on that one. And just in general, when Declan Rice is the 8, because he has that freedom, he shows a lot more than what he did today. And then you see that Merino had to move into midfield because of Thomas Partey's yellow card, and he is not the same as he is as a number 9. Unfortunately, he looked lost in the midfield, especially in that first half. He grew into it in the second half, but in the first half, they needed him more as an outlet than they needed him in midfield. And then Leandro Trossard has to play as the 9, and all of Arsenal's great structure against Real Madrid is completely in the bin. As we spoke about earlier, and I wanted to touch on it, we need to talk about Donnarumma as well, because what Donnarumma is doing for PSG in the Champions League is not what I expected from him. He has been world class. This has been an all-timer Donnarumma season in the Champions League, and he must absolutely despise England, because anytime he sets foot in this country, he turns into prime Buffon. He done it against Liverpool, he done it against Villa, and he done it again against Arsenal today. That save against Trossard is stupid. For a big goalkeeper with the size that he has, it's so tough to get down quick enough to stop that Trossard shot. And yet he was there. And he guessed where Martinelli was going to go. His aerial ability from all of Arsenal's set pieces was absolutely brilliant. And he was a major reason as to why that game stayed 1-0. At the end of the game, to be fair to PSG, they could have made it 2 or 3, especially with the chances they created. But it's the free-flowing football from which they create those chances that makes every single fan of football love watching them play. And the reason why I believe they need to be in the Champions League final some way, because the football that they played, especially when Hakimi played it to Gonçalo Ramos. Ramos played a 1-2 with Barcola, and Barcola was through on goal, and he should have finished off that chance, but it just went wide of goal. That was brilliant football. The goal that Dembele scored was brilliant football. And even the chance that Gonçalo Ramos has at the end, which for some reason I don't understand why he toe poked it. There were so many different techniques he could have used there, like smashing it into the bottom corner, but he chose the toe poke, he hit the crossbar, and that could have been a major opportunity for PSG to be through in that game. The only losses we saw in that game was probably Ousmane Dembele got injured in the game, and we don't know if he's going to make that second leg, and that could be a massive loss. I know they're playing at home, but Ousmane Dembele in that false 9 role is completely different to if Gonçalo Ramos is playing there or if Desiree Doué is playing there, just because of how much he provides all over the pitch for PSG. If you saw his heat map today, he wasn't a number 9. He was absolutely everywhere for that PSG team. But in the end, PSG win that game 1-0. They have the advantage going into Parc des Princes. We don't know who's going to go through because the Champions League can always provide a hiccup. And Arsenal could go into Parc des Princes and win that game, or PSG could end the tie there and make sure they are in the Champions League final once again. And they could be versing Barcelona or Inter Milan, who are going to play tomorrow. But I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the Arsenal vs PSG game. Don't forget to like the video before you leave. Comment your thoughts on the game down below and who you think is going to win in that second leg and go through to the final of the Champions League. Subscribe for more videos. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload. And peace.